computer sounds. There we go. Now, okay. Helps if I turn down the right. Oh, I gotta make myself spotlight too. Pin. There. Now I know it looks a little washed out there, but I think that'll be all right once we start. I get some paint on it. So I'm actually going to do that a very light wash around the background first, so we can see the inside a bit easier. File. Everybody's been good though.
Mm-hmm.
There. All right. If anything goes wonky and you can't see, just let me know, because I'm not going to be looking at the computer as much. But trying to make it so I can see. Okay, I'm gonna look at this recording instead of the OBS recording. Oh, I just dropped one of my beloved rosemary brushes. Fresh hell. I'm right in love with these brushes, though, guys. I gotta say, I don't think I'll ever order other brush. I don't think I'll ever buy anything else. Use what I got. These are just deliciously beautiful. All right. So we're going to start off, of course, with our wonderful friend, Mr. Raw Umber. Now I've got a bit of a dirty palette. I guess all right, is it? Or yeah, I hate wasting stuff. I don't know where that comes from, but I'm really, really like despise wasting things. I gotta be honest. Really, just I don't know.
I think it's really entrenched in our families. We're the same way.
It might be, because I mean, when I think about like how my parents grew up, I mean, they were I mean, they were poor, right? And they did how they grew up, and so they used everything, and they had to use everything and reuse everything,
And my
all right.
dad was very organized, so he could organize things and know where things were when he put them aside. I'm not organized, so that habit of saving things, because you can't throw it away, gets hard in a small house.
I keep trying to be organized or thinking I'm organized, but I think I'm kidding myself. Right, I got one of my hairs. Now I did have to find a whole bunch of stuff to create a document yesterday. An artist CV, which I've never done before, and I found a whole bunch of things. I was like, huh, maybe I'm organized and do know what I'm doing. Okay, now everything else besides that, don't know. All right, so I got a bit of raw umber, and I'm making it a real light because I'm just gonna put it on light in the background of this cutie patootie, which we should give a name to this guy because I don't know, we always like to name him, don't we? So I'm just gonna start on the background and go really light just to help us see the edges, because I don't want to draw a harsh line around the edge because this is such a light dog. But yeah, you guys can see that okay? All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was saying maybe I should have done my picture a bit bigger so it would be hard to see, but I got the camera moved right in and it's all right, I think. But yeah, I'm just putting in a real nice light wash around to see my borders of the puppy. Cute little
So
one.
you made the wash and you're putting it on dry, or
Oh yeah, I just added a bit of water to my brush, slapped it on right here. Okay. And I know two people that are coming that are going to watch this video after are new to painting with me. So I start with a underpainting. It's just my thing. Picked it up from oil painting. And I just find it helps my brain see the picture without getting confused by this color goes there and that color goes there, whatever. And it just, I find I create a painting I'm much happier with in the end and get less frustrated with throughout if I do an underpainting first. Some people don't, some people do, some people do partial ones, some people tint their canvas in the beginning and that's enough. But me, I just found this works for me, and you know, if you don't like it, that's cool. You don't have to use it when you go to do your own paintings. And I always, most often, do my underpaintings in raw umber. So there, now we can see the outline of the puppy pretty good there now. So while that's drying, I'm gonna rinse off my brush because I think I might swap brushes. I'm gonna go right in and do the really dark areas next, but I'm still gonna use my raw umber. And I'm gonna do the eyes and the nose. So I'm gonna have a little bit thicker umber on this time, so it's not as liquidy. It's pretty thick. It will be darkened up more than this, but just to start. And I'm going to go in and just start on his eyes. Now I'm doing this like a tonal image. So that's that sepia copy I got. We're just going to try to reproduce. Actually, that's the one I should have put on my laptop, my iPad, but I didn't. Dana, you slacker. Actually, I'm going to switch over to that one because I'm not going to reference it and show you guys. Sorry. Dana made a boo-boo.
You're allowed.
Am I? Good, because my brain sometimes just goes, yeah, nope, don't know what you're doing. I'm not going to try to help you figure it out. I have folder down, folder down, folder down. Oh, I don't have the CPU one here. Oh, it's in the send out, that's why. Mail. Sure. Whoosh. Now it always takes a minute. I find to get over in my iPad. It's so old. My iPad is so old. I think it's probably 15 years old. I'm saving up to get a real nice iPad Pro. I'm really looking forward to that. I got to be honest with you. Come on, save. Save image. There we go. This beast has served me well. But I'm going to get an iPad Pro. Okay. All right. See, so with it's better for me to move the camera, I think, for you to see that. With the sepia, you can really see the tonals. What needs to go dark, what needs to stay light. And I find when you're doing the umber layer, that's really, really helpful to making that happen. And if your brain works like my brain, I'm going to move it in a little bit because I find it's a little bit far out. So we got a pupil going on. Oh, paint helps. It feels like I'm right out of practice with this here tonight. All right. So I'm going to get in the pupil. Definitely putting in the rim of the eyes. Now this is actually squiggly, but that's okay. And on this side, I'm going to do the same thing. We've got a pupil right here. I wouldn't worry too much about perfection at this stage. I do find it helps, though, to get it as close to what you want it to look like in the end. There's kind of something about it that does really, really help. I'm just going to fill that in. Okay, so now I'm going to use a little bit lighter color. Bit darker than the wash I used for the background. I'm just going to fill in the irises. So you can really see that bottom. They look really wonky right now because of the. So using that same little bit lighter, you can see in the sepia picture that this side of their nose is pretty light compared to the other side, and same with right along here. Right down here underneath this nostril. And there's a little light spot right here underneath this nostril. And then I'm gonna go in like almost pure paint with barely any water on it, so it's really dark. And I'm gonna put that right inside the nostrils. Okay, and then I'm going to do similar to what I used to do the outline of the eyes. So it's a darker, I'll show you guys because I think that's seeable there. So it's a bit darker here. It's definitely darker than the wash, but it's not as dark as the pure paint. And then I'm gonna go in and do all the dark parts of the nose. So it shouldn't be as dark as the nostrils, and it shouldn't be as light as that first bit we put on. Kind of in between. Don't worry if it's not exactly perfect, and if you need to add a little more darkness to it, you can see how my two hairs seem to be really similar. So I just added more paint to my brush to make it darker. I'm going to put a little dark bit right here too, because blend it in a bit so it's not too stripey. And they're real solid, almost the exact same color as the paint, with very little water in it. Boom, boom. I'm gonna do right down here, right down the middle. And then we got a little lip hair going on. Almost looks like he's that head tilt boy. I get you every time, don't I? Seriously, I'm gonna actually go back and darken up some of the dark areas on the nose because I feel like they could be a little darker than what I have there. There, that feels better. It feels a lot better actually.
Do you know what kind of dog this is?
I'm thinking my friend has one. Oh my God.
It's not a Havanese.
Havanese is running through my head. If it's not a Havanese, I can ask him. I'll ask him. I'm gonna ask him. I'm just gonna text him. What type of dog is Tilly? That's what they named their dog. See if he gets back to me. What breed is Tilly?
No, I'm thinking about getting another dog.
Oh,
And Havanese seem to be such sweet temperaments. I haven't met too many Havanese I didn't like so far.
Oh, see, that's like that. We all came right awake when you said that.
What's
very
that?
nice.
I'm gonna just darken up some of the spots in the eyes too now that the paint is dried really well.
Kathy, I'm almost afraid to ask. You still have your other dog, do you?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. I
Okay.
was just planning ahead. That's all. Like I can't imagine not having a dog. And
No.
she's getting up there now. So,
That's right.
I don't think I could get another dog till she passes though. But I shouldn't be wishing her away or anything. She's just, even at 11, she still like hauls me around periodically. Like
Yeah.
she sees a dog she doesn't like, and it's whoa, and it's just like, oh, for God's sake, I'm too old to be doing this, you know. And then a cat, she still loses her mind over a cat.
Right.
It's just, oh my goodness. They let this cat out around supper time, and that's where I've been walking her when I work, after work. I don't have enough time to walk her before, and then it's just madness.
Oh my God.
I had to literally drag her the last couple of, luckily I haven't been too tired lately. So, but here I'm dragging her down the road. like holding her up, and almost she's like she's walking on her tiptoes.
He's funny.
She squeals, right? It's very embarrassing. Have you ever heard a duck told her squeal? Like it's really embarrassing.
Really?
Oh my God, it really sounds like someone's getting killed. Like,
Oh my God.
oh yeah, it's once you hear it, you'll never forget it. Like, it's very unique.
So I just started put in it's about the color of the highlight on the nose right here. A wash, and it's just around their eyes. I gotta name this puppy. I gotta name this puppy because it's kind of like what am I gonna call you? I'm drawing a blank. That's shocking.
I'm thinking like Clyde or
Eyes?
Clyde.
Wow.
I
What?
don't know where that came from.
Clyde, she said.
Clyde. All right, Clyde. Puppy's Clyde. This is Clyde. From here on out. So in here, and this is how I'm putting in my tonal value. See, so it's going, now I'm looking at, all right, so I know their eyes are further back than this hair on top. So I'm putting in a little bit of this lighter tone here that we used on the eyes. And now that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to use my reference photo. I don't want to go really dark. There's a couple of spots that I'll go really a bit darker, but keeping to this mixture of umber and a bit of water and about this thickness and this lightness right here that you see. I'm just going to go in and I'm going to start putting in the darkest spots that are on the tonal picture. And dark always pushes things back. Light brings things forward. So as we're putting in these dark things, we're actually already creating the 3D-ness of our image. And we're also setting ourselves up for even more darkening that we're going to have to do later. Because even though puppy's white, puppy's not white. When I was getting my house built, they apparently were building a house for another artist. The builder was. And somehow white came up. And I said, I don't want to see any white in my house, right? And they said, yeah, we didn't know, but apparently white is not really, there's no, white is not white. White's a whole bunch of colors. I said, yes, white is not white. There's so many whites. And they're like, we didn't know that. And I said, well, it's good you know it now because you are building homes. And so don't make that mistake again. I used to get them to call me their queen when they needed to get something from me. I'd sign all my emails and stuff to them. Your queen. And they played right along with it. All the contractors, all the companies they had come in and do stuff like the lighting and the electrical, they're all like, yes, my queen. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what you have to say. And then they brought me, the first year I was here, they brought me a little Christmas like, bottle of wine type of thing.
Oh my goodness.
And chocolates. They said to me, and they addressed the Christmas card and everything to our queen. I loved it. I loved it so much. And then, and the funniest part was, of course, the first little bit I was in my house, my toilet doesn't work quite right in my ensuite. And I had to call him. I said, the Queen's throne is giving her issues. Someone needs to come look at it. Well, they played along great. It was really good, actually. So just like down here in the mouth, there's definitely, because his lower jaw is behind his snout up here. So we're going to definitely have darker stuff down here because that's just to push it back. And we're not going to cover everything on this with umber because it's such a white dog. Like it's such a truly white dog. I want to leave some of the canvas shining through, and I find that helps later when we go to put on different layers. Because where I work in such thin layers, I just find it will be a little helpful. This canvas is crappy. It's like I gotta put on an awful lot of paint to make it work. This might be a cheap little scrap canvas I had here from Michael's. No, can you guys hear the brush on the canvas? When I'm painting, it seems really loud to me.
No,
No,
No? Oh. It's super loud to me. So I'm focusing mostly on the lower part of the doggy. Clyde.
you can change it if you don't like it.
No, I like it. I like it. We had Chief, now we got.
it's stuck, Kathy.
Yeah, that's it. Forever Clyde.
This
When we
one,
just-
any of the other
What?
participants that don't have any associations with Clyde.
When we do the cat, we'll have to call her Bonnie.
Bonnie?
Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh,
Did you say Clyde?
That's perfect. Oh my God, that's so perfect. Oh my God, that made my day. Oh, that's oh my God.
oh no, now I'm gonna have to join. Oh dear.
You got a what?
I'm gonna have to join now because I can do Bonnie. That's the name of my cleaning lady.
I was playing today with the color pencils for the eyes on that kitty. Make sure I had all the right ones named. It's a bit of fun. I should do more colored pencil stuff. Do like it. So I'm just putting in a few little wispy woos. This is gonna be fun to do up here, all these little funny spots up here on the top of Clyde's head. They're gonna be really fun to do, I think. In my warped, twisted kind of way. This is a heaven age, you know? I think my friend's dog is even smaller than a Havanese, actually. That just might be.
Yep, I'm trying to
It's
think.
the
My
rest
friend had a little white dog and I can't remember the name. Oh my.
Gonna come to us after we finish this class. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
I'm gonna find it now.
I think I put way too much umber on my palette, I think. Yeah, it's just
A Maltese.
Maltese.
Bichon Frise. Frise.
Oh, that's the one that's really fluffy.
A Bichon,
The
yeah.
big wolf. I think a Maltese might be my friend's. I don't know. I'll wait till he gets back to me.
Yeah, he's kind of fluffy too. And then there's a Highland White Terrier, but he's not a white, he's
Yeah.
not a Highland. His ears aren't right for a Highland.
Now, that's Highland White Terrier, actually. That's one of the first oil painting I did was a Highland White Terrier. First completed oil painting, I should say. Still just paying attention to my reference photo. Putting in, I'm not going to put in too much because we're going to be doing big swatches of blobs of paint when we get into the actual fur. Big swatches of blobs, big swatches of blobs. And there. This is just to kind of help set up what's in the back. What are we pushing back? What are we bringing forward? And you can, even though I'm using a pretty consistent umber here, you can lighten it up even more and darken it even more as you feel. Maltese. That's what my friend. You just texted me.
Yeah, it's small. I got the 10 small breed white dogs up, and number 9 was a cotton de Tulier, but the Maltese is more what he looked like. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's what Tui is. Tui's definitely a Maltese. More so than a Havanese.
He's a cute dog.
Yep. Oh, I did a boo-boo there. Cat talking behind me now. And if you really want to, like here where it's dark and then it comes out a little lighter, you can actually make it a true tonal value painting and go from this canvas. Sorry. Sucking up all my paint on me. My God, paintbrush. And I just be afraid to use your finger either if you got to.
Excuse me.
Yeah. I almost want to redraw this out next week on a new canvas. I'm hoping once I get some paint down, I do find that once you get paint down sometimes, it will clean up. That Maltese. They'll get easier to lay paint on top of it. It's just the initial, and that's sometimes with oil too, is the same way. Just the initial coats of it are a little like cantankerous, for lack of a better word. You can blend it out. So you see I'm using different intensities of the umber to really kind of make it start to show its 3D-ness already. I'll lighten it up as I come up and it's really dark here. If I weren't recording, I would swear right now. And just control the darkness and lightness with the amount of water you add. If you add too much water though, just be careful it doesn't run on your painting. You want to catch it if it starts to run because you will leave a run. We'll leave a run there, but I mean it's no big deal if you don't, because we are painting lots of layers on top of this, so it's not that big a deal if you don't catch it, but if you can, try to. If you can't, no, we can deal with it later. We'll call it a happy accident, to steal someone else's words.
Bob Ross.
Yeah.
Okay.
I never ever watched him, only a little bit, but no, I never did. I don't know,
Oh,
I think
his
his voice,
commentary was beautiful. It was so fun.
I found his voice, I think, was too soft. It kind of creeped me out a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. And I haven't tried to watch him since, so
Oh, I mean, the young people love watching him. I know my nieces watched him and painted along and done some really sweet work, I don't know how much they learned in school, but, she really, really
that's
enjoyed.
that's
going
lovely. And
through.
that's like what a legacy, hey?
I know. And they were sort of saying, what sort of legacy does he leave to the world? And, is he considered, what kind of an artist and that kind of stuff, I guess. There was some argument, and he really has left a legacy
Yes.
of some kind.
He made
So
people
I think,
love to do art.
yeah,
That to me is bigger than anybody who sells their art for $1 million. Really,
yeah.
you know?
I just read a really good, it's a fictional tale, which is things I like to read about historical characters, but it was called Mrs. Van Gogh.
Oh, yeah?
And it was about Theo Van Gogh, or Gogh, whatever you pronounce his last name, his wife. And they were only married for a very short time. Because I didn't realize, but Theo, his younger brother, died within less than a year of Vincent dying.
Oh, really?
Because I always thought it was Theo who really got the, the whole art thing going after he died. But
It's
um,
her.
it was her, yeah. And of course, typical history by white men, they're going to leave out the women.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's
We're
just,
not
anyways,
bitter.
it's very empowering. Well, it's a very empowering story because it's a prime example of, again, of how white men like to, you know, give certain impressions about things and not correct. Anyways, I mean, it's just amazing. Like, I probably like to read more in-depth stuff because all the letters between Vincent and Theo were saved, and she translated them. She was Dutch, but they were written in French and whatnot. And then I guess no, wait, no, they would have been written in Dutch, I guess, but she translated them into French, and
Right?
I don't know if she did English too, but she was brilliant. She was a teacher before she got married a bit older in those days. She was a disgraced teacher, I guess. She fell for the wrong guy who was a jerk, and then the mother was trying to marry her off, and anyways the brother stepped in and helped her out. And anyways, I don't want to ruin the story. I mean, it's just and again, some of it is probably fictionalized to make it more interesting. um but it's a beautiful love story. It really is gorgeous, like
Yes.
amazing story. And I love Vincent van Gogh, or however I
Yeah.
pronounce his last name. I just want to say Van Gogh because everyone says Van Gogh, but that's not how the Dutch say it.
Yeah. Or
So
yeah, Europeans say Van Gogh.
yeah,
I was like, oh,
but anyways, it really is a cool story.
that is, yeah.
Very feminist story.
It's all burnt our bras. Yeah, they did. I don't know if anybody watched, you guys watch Doctor Who, but they actually did an episode on him.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Wow. Which doctor?
Peter Capaldi.
Oh, I don't know him
So
at
he
all.
was 12th Doctor, I think. He was the one before. He was the one after Matt Smith.
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess 3 doctors away now because they got another new doctor starting.
Oh, oh.
But um, uh, yeah, they actually took him in the TARDIS to the future to show
Oh,
him that his to the Louvre and showed him how his art had been such incredibly accepted by people after he died and stuff.
mm.
It was kind of nice. It was lovely.
Well, it would be really interesting, if Theo hadn't believed in it and taught his wife so much about it in that short period of time, but she obviously had quite a good eye.
Yeah.
But she also read a lot of the stuff that Vincent wrote about his work and why he did what he did. And I guess a lot of his writing really explains why he did what he did. So I've never really paid attention to, anything he may have written or
No,
so.
me neither. Actually, I
Yeah.
didn't.
So it's a thing. Like there's going to be a movie coming out too, of course.
Oh, that's
You
fun.
know. Yeah, so it should be really interesting. I'm really looking forward to the movie. I love movies. I'm so glad the writers are back to work, I guess. Hey, I haven't
Were
heard
they?
about it. Yeah, well, that's what I heard on the news last night. So
Uh,
hoping it's gonna actually be agreed upon. But everyone seemed to be kind of happy about it on the news there last night. I've missed the late night shows. I love Jimmy Fallon.
yeah. So I've got most of what I'm gonna do done. Now all I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go back and I'm gonna strengthen some of the darker spots because just to help set it up a little bit better. Like under here, under the eyes, it's a little darker. Boy, this canvas better cooperate with me when I start slaying down some paint. This will be thrown across the room. Now, oh guys, something I realized. Our last class is at Halloween. That was a really big faux pas on my part. So how do you guys feel about postponing it a week, or we can do it another night that week?
Doesn't matter to me.
I do
guess-
like Halloween. It'll
I
be a
guess it's-
very noisy class for sure.
We won't get anything done because I mean there's 10,000 million gazillion kids that come to my door. So
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I don't care if you cancel it. Right is fine.
yeah, we'll just put it on another. Well, we can double check when everybody's back next week, but we'll just put it on another. We'll figure out what's the best thing to do, whether postpone it or just do it the following night, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, whatever the class wants to
Whatever
do.
works, right? Because I didn't realize that. I was like, oh Dana, you silly rabbit.
My Wednesdays are open. Thursdays no good, but Wednesdays are good.
Clyde. Yeah, I like Clyde. That Clyde's eye is pretty messed up, but I'll fix them up later when I gotta do the real deal. I sometimes get bored with this stage and I just want to get on with the painting. But I know if I rush this too much, I will actually regret it. Now I just checked what I did there is I just checked the angle of the eyes. So that should be there and there. So I can tell that this eye is a little bit bigger, but I think what it is, it's actually fur in there. And I just painted it as the eye. So I can fix that up later. So, you know, we can check the angle here, it all should line up. The bottom of the eyes, top of the nose, the nostrils, the bottom of the nose, and the mouth should all be on the same angle. And if it's not, it's fixable. Just gotta figure out which part has to be fixed. Little markings down here. It's the rest of it here that I forgot. All right. How's everybody doing?
I'm just working on the angles of the nose.
Angles. Are you anybody ready to do a bit of background? I got wild this time. I'm sure I've mentioned before how much I despise painting the color green.
Yes.
I have a real love-hate relationship with it, but and oddly enough, I've had a number of commissions this year that require a green background.
Mhm.
All right, Universal, I'll paint more green. So, of course, this guy's in grass, and I went, well, you got me again, universe. So I said, okay, well, we're gonna do a green background on this guy, on Clyde. And I found a mixture. I just did a commission of a cat. I haven't posted a lot of. I got to catch up with my posting because I had a lot of gifts this year, so I had to wait till it was all clear to post them because I'd be really upset if I ruined a surprise for somebody. So I got a few now I can post, but
Okay.
part of a cat And I tried, I don't know what made me try it, but I just went, I wonder what this yellow will do with green. And I went, now that green I can deal with. So I went, okay. So that's the green we're going to make tonight.
That cat was beautiful.
With the one with the green background?
Yeah,
Thank you.
because I saw it in person.
Yes, Kathy was in town and she came by for a visit. It was lovely.
Nice.
Just put a little bit more light bits around, little divide up the fur a little bit more. And then that's my canvas made now for one mission that came in today. I ordered the stuff and do it myself. Be a wild woman. I'm thinking if I get any of the galleries around to make me one, it's gonna cost there. I'm going to actually, no, I'm not. I'll put a very light right here, coming right out of fur closest to this inner seam of his snout. So you can see that it dips in a bit. So there, that's all I'm going to do with the underpainting of this little guy. It's a lovely little baby.
Mhm.
How are you guys making out?
Good, thank you.
Good?
Yeah,
Yeah,
You ready for some wild background?
yeah.
for sure.
Ready to get like real funky and make some green with me?
Yeah,
Mm,
sounds good.
I really struggle with green. I'm
I was
trying.
I was telling her the other night, I love painting with green, but I hate
Yeah,
painting with brown. And Dana likes painting with browns
yeah.
and don't like the greens.
Yeah. All right, so I'm putting a bit of Payne's gray and our yellow ochre, which I am discovering now is becoming part of my core list, and not because of the green, but I'm finding I'm using it a lot more than I used to.
Payne's gray.
Payne's gray and yellow ochre. So then I'll hold it up now and I'll show you. Not much to mix in it, of course. It's just one green. I liked it was a softer green, a more mossy, woodsy green. It wasn't like too vibrant, I didn't feel. You know, that's just me and my, okay, so I'm going to take a big old clump of the yellow ochre. And I'm going to take just a little bit of the Payne's gray first to start with, because yeah, that's a bit too much. And I'm just mixing. See how it goes to a really nice green? Isn't that,
Mm.
well, I guess it's not a nice green there. It looks a little bit like somebody has got a digestional issue, doesn't it? I'm going to throw a little bit more dark in there. A little bit more dark. So you can just keep playing with the Payne's gray to get it to a green that you're happy with, because it's a little bit of a personal preference. So if you want it to be greener rather than golden, keep adding Payne's gray to it. And if you're okay with it being a little bit more golden, keep adding the yellow ochre.
I've lost you. I don't know what happened. I can hear you. Oh, here we go. Okay.
Got me? Go back?
Yeah. Phew.
Okay.
Don't know what happened there.
And what we'll do too is as we go around the background, we're going to change it. It's not going to be all flat. It's not going to be all one color. We're going to do some magic with it. So I'm going to start now on this little darling. The light is coming mostly from this side. So I'm going to make this side darker. The left-hand side of the painting, while it faces you, I'm going to make that side darker because that's the side that the light's hitting. So this back here, I'm going to just start with this first. It's a bit like it's almost like a khaki green. But it's not as, I don't find it as garish as, I'm gonna grab a bigger brush, I think, that to this is another thing is personal preference. This brush is a little, I'd like a bigger brush because then I can go a bit wilder with it. Because it's green. I gotta go wild because I'm getting brave with my greens. Oh, I just heard a big crash outside.
Oh, no.
Out back. Right, so I'm just gonna go in here and I'm gonna start popping this color on. And I'm gonna be really careful, of course, around the coat because it's a white dog, and I don't want to have to cover too much. You're gonna have to, pull some green over the white and white over the green eventually, but I'm trying to make it as less of an effort for myself later. So I'm being a little bit careful around my edges. There is a technique that I used to use and I don't anymore. I used to use watercolor masking fluid. And I used to put it all around the edge of the area. And then it didn't matter if I painted over it. And then you kind of peel it off. It was very satisfying to peel off, I gotta say. Afterwards, the stuff stinks. It's a latex thing. It stinks, but it was good. But I felt like my edges were getting too regular, I guess is the word. Yeah, this canvas is garbage. Just tell me the way the paint's covered, and I'm gonna have to put on 50,000 layers of paint on this canvas. I just found that my edges kind of started to look too obvious is the word. So I don't use it like I used to, and I've just adapted. But it is a great thing if you find you really want to save the color of something. That and painter's tape when you want straight lines, like if you were doing houses or something. Fabulous. I'm gonna do down here a little bit dark here too, because the dog is super white on his lower back. The green painter's tape is the better of them. I've used that to do when I've done buildings and stuff, when I used to do a little bit of Newfoundlander. Squeaky easel here today. How's your guys' green going on? Is it going on pretty good? Mine is really.
Yours is greener than mine.
Is it? Mine is
Mine's pretty brownish.
Is it? Throw a bit more yellow in it if you want to change it. All right, I'm gonna be saying that through this whole 6 weeks. This canvas is garbage. Just a heads up. So I'm throwing in a little bit more the yellow ochre. I was gonna call it golden because I want to lighten. Oh, I'm gonna go a little bit more. So and this can be a personal preference to how light you want to go, how dark you want to go. And I'm just gonna up here on this side here, which is the darkest side of the dog, but it's going to be my lightest side of my background. I'm going to lighten this up a bit. Ooh. We can use a mop to blend these. Not yet, because mine needs more paint on it yet. But you don't have to have a mop. It depends if you want it really, really blended. I get lazy with mops because when you use a mop, and these are mops, these things here,
Yeah,
they're beautiful for blending the different colors together. But the one thing you have to do is when you're finished using it, you have to wash it immediately and then blow dry it with a hairdryer.
yep.
Or you'll destroy your mop. You'll ruin it. It'll just become garbage. Like this one, I wasn't as good with as I should have been. And see how it's kind of gone a little clumpy.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm thinking, I mean, I can probably save it a bit. Yeah, like that helped. I just rubbed it on my pants. But it helped. But it's still not as as good as it originally was. So that's the one thing, the downfall about, using a mop is, and I can get really lazy when I'm painting. And it's like, I'm sitting down now, I'm not getting up to wash that. Shocking, I am. Shocking. And I've put them in my bucket of water that I'm using. And of course they soak up the water so much that you got this sopping paintbrush at your feet. So I'm gonna go in with another layer of, no, I'm not gonna go in with another layer, because if you go in with another layer at this point, what's gonna happen? It's gonna it lifts what's there because it's not quite dry. So now I'm gonna have the fun of trying to fix that after, but that's okay. Right? So we're gonna let that dry before we do anything. And so what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll probably start on the little cutie patooty's nose until that dries. And the other thing you can do with a hairdryer with acrylics is you can actually use a hairdryer to blow dry your acrylics. If you're really impatient and you wanted it to dry really fast, don't hold your hairdryer right to it though, because it'll get too hot, but it's just kind of pass it over it like this and hold it back a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it will dry your paint pretty fast because it's a fast drying paint, and you can get on to, and I find that really helpful if I'm doing a really blended background, because I want it to blend. I wanted to do a coat of blending, dry it really well, and then do another coat of blending to get the full effect. All right, so I'm now going to go to the little darling's nose while that hot mess dries. So taking a much smaller brush, I'm going to start with. And I'm going to take a bit of Payne's Gray and our lovely friend Ultramarine, which I find something I've noticed. I've been using more golden brand paints, and I'm noticing they don't dry up as fast on my palette as Liquitex does. Have you guys used a mixture of them before?
I use both, but I like the golden better.
I'm beginning to every time I buy a new tube of paint now to replace a used up Liquitex, I'm going to use golden as well. It's smoother, it's creamier, but it's still a heavy body. Like soft body paints are much runnier is not the right word because they're not really runny, but they're just a little wetter, a little thinner. I don't like soft body paints much, but I do like but I find the golden isn't as stiff as the Liquitex. So I'm kind of converting, I guess. Yeah, so I'm mixing our wonderful deep black by making a bit of Payne's Gray and ultramarine blue.
Yeah.
Because
You want to move this? Yeah. Shh. Shh. Hello, come on, Noodle. Baby.
Drow goes to sleep up in Ebony's window seat. I don't know where Raven is. So I got a nice, pretty decent. It's still a bit blue, but I'm okay with that for his nose starting off. And I'm going to start with his little gorgeous nostrils because this is the darkest color here now. A little bit of the nostrils. And down here, this line, the center line, I'm also going to do in this extra dark color. And really close along the top of his bottom lip that's showing, but the edge that's up around the fur, the top of the fur, because that's going to be the darkest spot. Just gonna put that in there, but we'll blend that down with a little bit lighter dark after. And for now, I'm also gonna put in the pupils because I got it on my brush, so I'm just gonna use it up. Otherwise, we might get this one finished really fast, I have to do something extra then at the end. And I'm putting in really ugly pupils right now, just as markers. They're not the final pupils. So like the poor guy, poor little darling looks like shocked to death there. Fix that up after. Right, so now I'm going to take just Payne's Gray, straight Payne's Gray. And I'm going to wash it out a little bit. Not too much, but just a bit. Liquidy. And I'm going to go into those darkest areas of the nose that we did with the darker bit of umber. Oh my God, okay, I got the right one off. All right, I just for a second there, I thought I'd check to see if that person who might come popped in and I didn't see their thing pop up, but right. There we go. Now I'm gonna go Payne's Gray again, but I'm gonna really wash it out, like super wash it out with water. And it's gonna be on the light area here. I'm gonna brush it into the dark area so it blends and it's not like a straight line, because we don't want a straight line. Straight lines don't usually happen in nature. They're a man-made thing. Even there. So we maintained what we did with the umber underneath, but we added our first layer of the true color of the nose. Sorry. Wow, words are escaping me. I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom lip here. I'm just going to fill that in with the lighter black and let it blend down a smidge. There's lots of little furs and stuff that's going to go over that and come out of the base of that. So don't worry too much if it's not a soft, smooth blend. Now I'll see. Feeling my background. My background's still pretty wet. I think it's there. Now I'm going to take an extra fine brush because I need to fix this eye. This is driving me bonkers, and I need to fix that because I've got the eye with the little mark of fur that was above it, and like I'm kind of blended together, so it looks like he has one of those like googly eyes. So I'm just going to take one of my little super fine brushes, and yeah, that's a bit stiff. Didn't clean that one very well. Okay, I'm gonna take that, and I'm just gonna fix this eye because it's really bugging me. I'm just using Payne's Gray, and I'm going around. I'm gonna outline the edge of each of the eyes. Just define them a bit better so they look a little bit more like eye shapes instead of these monstrosities that I have going on here now. Sometimes I need to do things like this so I can connect with the portrait. And I'm also going to fix that little bit of burnt umber. I'm going to make it more of a, take away that little highlight that's in there. More solid. Gonna go back in with the umber. Sorry, raw umber. I said burnt umber a minute ago. I meant raw umber. And I'm just, right now, I'm going to just add some depth to his eyes. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in a bit of shading with the umber. So we know his eyes are back further. This bit of hair right here is coming out over his eyes. So we know we're going to have a bit of shadow right there. And if you look at the reference picture and zoom in, you can also see it too. But I'm just going for it anyway. As well as on this side, you get a little bit, right? So then we've got the, I'll show you guys closer. See, so we're starting to already get some depth in the eye because we've got a little bit of shadow up here and a little bit of shadow right here. And then we're leaving this to the light umber right here for now. So it already gives a little, oh, there's an eyeball in there. And then do the same thing with the other eye, even though this eye is going to be a bit more in shadow. And that's just because of the way this eye is behind the snout and all that fur and the light's coming from the left. So I'm just going to leave a little tiny bit on the bottom light. And I'm also going to bring that pupil right up to the top instead of leaving it in the middle, because that's one way to create expression, is how where you place your pupils and how big you make them. Because if the pupil's right in the middle of the eye, it shows like fear or like extreme interest. Bigger pupils, of course, can be fair, or they can also be really relaxed and loving. And of course, it depends on the light in the area as well, because bright lights, we're going to have smaller pupils, regardless of what's going on. All right. Boss, we're going to have this one finished next week, I think.
Glad you think so.
I'm just trying. I want to do another coat on my background. How do your guys' backgrounds look? Do they need more coats?
Mine will.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because mine is. I'm just touching it now to see how dry it is, and I think it's okay for me to put a bit more back. So I'm just gonna go while you guys do those couple of things, and you want to come back and do some more background. I'm going to do some more background now. So I'm still going to mix my Payne's gray and my yellow ochre to the shade of green I want, and that's totally in your control. I'm going to go with a greener green, which means I'm putting in a bit more Payne's gray, because Payne's gray has a lot of blue in it. That's how we get the green. There's lots and lots of blue in it. And I'm actually going to go really wild now, and I'm going to put a little bit. No, I'm not. Never mind. I was telling you something. I was going to say, I'm going to go really wild now and put a bit of Payne's gray in this to make it dark. But it's like, Dina, we've been using Payne's gray all along. I promise next week I'll drink more caffeine before I come. My goodness, my brain is. That's what happens when you fall asleep on the couch. You sleep on the couch all night. You don't get a good sleep and you get stupid. That's my excuse. I'm gonna do another coat on this the week to get this to where I want it, because this is gonna take a few coats of paint. It's terrible.
Dana, when you said blue, you reminded me of something you said to me.
What?
Trying to get a nose that looks wet. You said
Yep.
add a little bit of blue.
Yep.
Do you add that to the color of the nose that you're painting, or do you how do you do that?
I would put a little wash of it on at the end.
Okay.
After it's dry, and try it, and then you might need to add like a little bit of blue and a little bit of your neutral gray to lighten it a little bit.
Okay.
And that will make it wet looking too. Because I find you don't want to go full on white, like because it'll look white. It won't look, even with a wash, it won't quite hit it right. But I would try the blue, and you can play with like a cerulean blue or a bright blue and see what that does with a bit of gray.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you wash it over the entire nose?
No, just the area you want to be wet, because something like this.
Okay.
That's usually going to be around the highlight, because
Yep.
that's what catches the light is the wetness, right? I think I might be throwing out I got a couple more of these canvases. They must have been like one of the cheap packs I bought from Curry's for some little demo or something. And I don't think I'm gonna put a little message on them that I got left up there and say, these are garbage. Don't use for risk of frustration. Maybe I'll give them to the kids in the neighborhood to paint. Not to be cruel, but they do enjoy. There's a couple of little artists that live around me, and I don't think they'll get as frustrated about it as I am. See how many I got up there. So my background is still looking like garbage, but I'm okay with that because I know as I add more layers to it, it's going to be fine. I'm not stressing about it. I'm not going to worry about it because layers are beautiful. Layers fix everything. And it made up, but it's green and I'm doing green. So I'm proud of myself for that. I'm going to leave that there. How are you guys doing?
Can't say I like the color, this color green.
No?
I don't know.
Is it,
It's just a
it's a
kind of
bit too
pinky
poopy
green.
brown? Is it a
Well,
poopy?
it's very, I don't know, it's to me, it's kind of a, I don't know what color green it is. Olive, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the softness of this. Now, if you want, if you want to go with more traditional green, Kathy,
Yeah.
if you've got a cad yellow,
Yeah.
use that with Payne's gray.
Okay.
And that'll give you a bit more vibrant green,
Yeah.
right? If you really hate the olive green. Because that's the green, the cad yellow green makes me twitch a little bit. Like, wow, that's too bright. But you can, of course, you can always throw in your umbers into it to bring it, tone it back a bit, or a bit of neutral gray, and that'll bring it, tone it down a little bit more. So it's still like that kind of rich emerald grass green, but it's not like screaming at you like a kid's coloring book color. If that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys ready to start giving Clyde some face, some fur, some face? I gotta order some more brushes from Rosemary. I don't got to, but I want to order some more brushes from Rosemary's. Because brushes.
Well, I ordered the Amazon that should be in tomorrow or the next day. So
Oh, did you? These ones.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I gotta
love,
say, they're
I
handy.
love them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really like them too. Like I've got like so many of these Curry's brand brushes. And
Right.
they used to be my all-time favorite, but the last batch I ordered didn't feel the same. And that's when I tried these cheap little ones off Amazon, and I really like them. I do.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna give
Yeah.
it a try.
Okay. I'm gonna start on our little guy. Feel like it? Feel like it?
Yes, I like Clyde.
Little guys. Where is my buff? Buff. I need it out for tonight. There it is. I'm gonna hit under the edge there. So I'm gonna take a little bit of buff. I'm terrible for using my teeth to open my paints too. It's not a smart thing to do, guys. I don't recommend it. Some of this stuff is not good for you. So I'm taking a bit of my Titan buff. A little bit of my burnt sienna,
Burnt.
a little bit of buff, a little bit of burnt sienna, and a little bit of neutral gray. Neutral gray. Yep. From there, I'm going to mix up a color for us. It's living wild here now. So I'm doing, this is going to be like if you look down here along the dark here and the here in around their eyes, his ears. So I'm going to take Titan Buff is my most of this color. So I'm going to take a big clump of Titan Buff and I'm going to add the smallest amount of the sienna to it. Isn't that a lovely color? Well, then it goes to crap. Started off nice. A little bit more. And a little bit of the gray to help tone it down and darken it. And don't freak out when you put this on and it's really dark. Because it can be pretty like, oh my God, this got to be wrong. Like it really can. And I'm actually going to take a little tiny bit of ultramarine, like the smallest little touch. See that? And put in there too, because there's an awful lot of blue in that white color. I'm going to put in a little bit more even. Living wild here, boys. Living wild. Oh, yes. Oh, crap. I hit the other color. And I would even go darker with this. So I'm going to throw in more gray. And a smidge more of the sienna. So you got this lovely dark gray, looks like Play-Doh almost color. And now I'm just going to go put it in here in these dark spots. Right around, just nice and solid, lovely. Starting with the chin. It is, it looks like Play-Doh. Wow, cool. I loved Play-Doh as a kid. Not Play-Doh, Silly Putty, Silly Putty. That's it. My God.
Used to press it on the comics so the picture would come out.
Yeah, that was so amazing, wasn't it? I remember when I did a semester at Harlow when I was in university, and when we were there, we came across a Toys R Us store, and of course, you know, being a bunch of hooligans we were amazed, and we had to go in, and we thought we'd been cheated in our childhood because we didn't have a Toys R Us. And the one thing I bought in there was Silly Putty. I'm 23 years old, and I'm like running around Toys R Us like a fool.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting when they opened it here and go
Yep.
in with my niece and nephew.
Yep. And I was like, wow. I'm going into all these really dark areas that have a bit of red in them, which is the sienna, and we'll be adding more siennas as a wash later on. But right now we're just blobbing on some paint here, making this. But still, you can still see behind mine. You can still see the umber, especially in the air there. See how there's still that little bit of umber showing in the underneath that Silly Putty color?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I like it to be, because it's still everything is kind of additive. All the different colors and all the different tones are all additive, and it gives you a bit richer fur and more depth, I find personally. That's my method that I hope works like I think it does. Get some more of that Silly Putty color down here. Here. So I'm just going over all my spots on my, I've switched to my colored photograph now that we're actually putting on fur. Sorry, I should have mentioned that already. And I'm just using that, and I'm looking at the darkest areas. I'm slapping on this silly putty color. Silly putty color. I'm not putting it on super thick. I still want to see what's underneath it. I still want there to be, darker spots of it and lighter spots of it. So it's just a matter of playing with the amount of water I'm putting on my brush with the paint to get that variety of tone. Value might be the better word than tone. Just going around and I'm looking at my reference picture and I'm like, oh, there's little wispies and curls, and I'm just kind of putting in the base where they're going to be the darkest. Because we get quite the variety we're gonna have a lot of fun, I think, with doing all those wispies later. That's my favorite part when I'm doing a pet portrait at the very end, and I go in and I do all the little fine wisps of fur and things like that. And sometimes I've gone a little overboard. Remember there was one I did, and it was a picture of a dog jumping over the agility trials, and the dog jumps over like the bar.
Mm-hmm.
It's real close up, and it was a really great like photo action shot that they had me paint for him. And when I did it, of course, I was at the end of it, and I was going and do my little wispies and do my little things, and I was like, yeah, okay, great. And I sent him the picture, and the bottom ear I got a little out of control with. And she's like, I think his ear on his left is a little too large. And I looked at it and I went, oh my God. I said, I must have thought he was an elephant. And I'd gone like, it was like 3 times the size. Well, not 3 times, but it was like double the size it should be. And it was like, oh, I'll fix that. Seriously, I was like, oh, I kind of made him like Dumbo flying, helping him get over that bar. When I first started doing this, I didn't always send proofs to people. And I found that it was very helpful in the end, because it was, in case, I find I'm looking at something for so long, after a while, it's like, you don't always see little things, and they know their pet the best. So if I did a little thing a little bit wrong, or I did a little, maybe I didn't put that little cow's lick in right, or is it called a cow's lick on a dog?
I don't know.
I don't know, but if I didn't quite, the curl's not quite right, or the ear's a bit too big, or I had one person actually, I painted the eye color wrong, but the photograph they sent me, the eyes were a different color than what the dogs were in real life, just because of the way the light hit the dog in the photograph.
Mm-hmm.
Because the dog had 2 different color eyes, and one of them looked like almost like a greeny blue to me. And when I sent her the proof, she goes, his eye is the wrong color. And I went, that's the color. And she goes, oh my God, that is the color it is in the photograph. So she sent me another picture of his eye, and it was more of a blue than a green. So it was just but in cases like this,
sorry, I thought you were finished.
oh, sorry. No, I was just saying, like, in cases like that's where I find it's really helpful to have.
Yeah. That's like, I just did a little dog, and if I pronounce it wrong, the name of the flower, chrysanthemum.
Yeah.
Like the crest around the nose, right?
Yeah.
In the picture, on his left side, it was just like a shade of gray, and I did it like the picture. But
Right.
when I sent her the proof, she said, no, on his left side of his nose, he had more hair like the other side, but it was the lighting. So I put it in there, even though it wasn't there. And when I sent it back to her, she said, yeah, that's her. But it wasn't in the picture.
Yeah. Yep.
It's the lighting.
Yeah, and it's the lighting, and that's the tricky part. Like I got a big commission now with the custom canvas, and I got 2 pictures sent to me, and the dog's 2 different color in both pictures.
Oh yeah, I've had that happen too.
Like,
yeah, that's a bad memory.
I need to discuss this with you further. So what I just did is I added. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have put that ice in my mouth. Why does it always go right into the sensitive tooth when you put it in your mouth when you're about to talk? I put a little bit of the sienna into our silly putty color because I wanted a little pinker. It's going to look harsh, but don't panic. And now I'm going into the areas that are underneath their mouth. I guess white dogs get this stain, don't they?
Yeah.
So I'm just putting it in here, close up by the top. It looks really weird. Don't panic. It's all going to be okay. And right here by Clyde's ears, the inside of Clyde's left ear, which is to our right, there's a lot of that redness here too. And we will add to this redness later as well. But just start up to build it, we're going to put it in now. And I'm just looking to see, there's a little bit down here in this bit of chin here. Chinny chin chin. All right. It looks a bit redder to me in real life than he does there. Can't really see, but I did put quite a bit of that sienna color here and all down here. And a little bit right here. And what I'm going to do now, do you guys, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Good. I'm going to try another addition to my motley background. I'll do that pretty quick. It's gray and yellow ochre. Then we'll go back in and we're gonna do a bit of a bluey gray mix. Cover just about everything. I think we're gonna get this little guy finished pretty fast. If we do get him finished fast, we can plan something different for the whatever time is left. If you want, and we can do a Q&A or I can show you some other techniques I use. I can demonstrate the mop brush. All right, so I'm just going in and putting it. Okay, now I got some hope here now with that. There, that's looking a bit better. I put more gray in it though.
I got one mop brush here that I don't like to use. I find the hairs come off of it.
Yeah, that's the pain in the hole with them.
Oh,
yeah, they're hairy beasts, and you got to pay attention when you're using them. And the cheaper ones are just gnarly for it.
well, I got one of, is it Simply Simon that I bought?
Oh, that's a good brand.
But my dear, the hairs come off of that mop brush like
Yeah.
anything.
Give it a blow with the hair dryer right before you use it. Another use for a hair dryer. See if that helps. And you know what's really good for picking hairs off your canvas? You got to do it really carefully though. A little scalpel knife.
Okay.
You lay it really flat, you can just slide it in and go whoop. You can get your hands on something like that, right? I mean, if you get your hands on a real scalpel that they use in the hospital, that'd be best. but you might have to use like one of them cutting knives. You might go for, I might be having a real impressionistic background on my guy. Because I got a feeling I'm gonna have to put 10,000 coats on it to get it. That's, hey, maybe I'll start a new little style I'll add to my, I don't know, I do impressionistic backgrounds. Changing it up, everybody. Going wild. Ooh.
I bought a brush in Cornerbrook, and I don't know if it was at the university or down in a frame shop, but it's called Mightlan, Mighthlon.
Okay.
It is awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're really good.
What kind of brush is it? Is it a like a
This one is around.
round?
Yep.
Wow, nice.
It really paints nicely.
It makes some difference when you use like a decent thing, right? You know, like when you can
I
treat
can't
yourself
remember.
to a couple of nice things and you get them and it just they feel really good to use.
When I go over again, I got to go and see. I can't remember if I bought it at the college or down at the frame store, because if I do, I want to get some more of the brand. I really liked it.
Oh, excellent. Really got to push the paint into the. This canvas is a good example of one that would have benefited from a couple of extra coats of gesso.
I'm gonna stop now and catch up. I've been painting all day.
Oh yeah.
And I find after you're at it so long, it's time to give it up or you mess it up.
Well, yeah, there's this fine line of overworking it, where you kind of go, yeah, no, that's it for me. And I'm dangerously close to it here on this background because I'm playing with areas that aren't dry, and I'm going to pay for that. All right, so.
It's so bad when your paint lifts.
Oh, I hate it. Drives me nuts and some hard. And I've used canvases where there'll be this one spot on the canvas, and I don't know, something happened in the manufacturing process, and it's like it just will not take paint. And it's like when it lifts, that's how it behaves. All right.
You look sweet.
Here's a cute, it's so cute. Look, the head tilt. See, it gets you every time. That head tilt.
That's what Noodle does on.
Yeah. So I'm switching up to a bigger brush, just because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cover in all the canvas that's left of the dog. And I'm going to use a bit of umber. I'll show you now when I go to mix it up. Oh, that's way too much ultramarine, Dana. Yeah, I got this color a little too dark, so I gotta. Oh, I don't have any white out. I'm gonna throw some titanium white on my canvas. I'm getting low on it. I'm gonna squeeze it right out from the top here. Dana gotta go shopping. I need a sugar daddy just for art supplies.
So the art cancel are moving soon.
Yes, they're on Duffy. Oh, they're moving again?
Yes,
Yeah, because that's not their real home.
Oh, where did they get after?
They're going somewhere on Topsail Road, so you may want to call them before you go if that's where you're going.
Oh,
Just
wow.
They said the end of the month, but I think that now they've extended it a little bit later, so
Let's see if
I would,
They
depending on
didn't
when you're
say
going.
we're on Topsail Road, did they?
They're gonna go to Topsail Road across from, I think, Atlantic Home Furnishing maybe, or I think that's where they said.
Oh, that's right out going towards Paradise on Topsail Road.
Yeah, yeah, but I guess it's Mount Pearl, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I mixed a bit of umber, ultramarine blue, neutral gray. And I threw a little bit of white in there because it went way too dark for me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to throw a bit of water on my brush, and I want this to be thin. I don't want this to be thick because I'm going to put it over the whole dog, and I don't want it to cover. I still want it to be transparent. Translucent, transparent. Yeah. And then I'm just gonna, I'm covering everything now that hasn't had paint put on it yet. Hi, baby. Give our first little bit of base. Mine might be pulling in a little bit of the green, but I'm not gonna worry about it because it can work. It can work with how the light works. It can work with how the edges work. I'm not, so if you pull in a little bit of green when you're doing around your edges, don't panic. Don't panic at all. Now this is the point where I'm actually starting to pay a little bit of attention to my fur direction. So like I know this is a straight bit of fur here, so I'm following that. This stuff is going up and out. So I'm doing, my brush strokes are starting to follow the direction of the fur. Well, that's interesting. Good for them. Is it a big spot? I suppose it is. There's a couple of really big buildings in along there.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I think it is going to be a big spot though. Yeah.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah, they said it's going to be really nice.
Yeah.
Because the building she was in is completely like for lease now. I drove by it the other day.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's the sign's gone, everything's gone, so it's for
Oh.
lease.
Now I'm looking at my computer screen, and you're not seeing. I don't know if can you guys see how the gray is covering Clyde? I'll hold it up in a second because I think it's just the way where it's so light. It's this fur down here is a little all over the place, so I don't mind doing wonky brush strokes. Show you what that looks like up close. In the water, actually. So you can see everything now is covered in some version of gray and silly putty.
Oh, wow, that looks great. I just sent a whole spray of white paint across the room. And
Oh,
Oh my
It's like,
God.
great way to end the night here.
Is it on like
What
carpet
the
and
hell's
stuff?
going on?
Is it on carpet and stuff?
Oh my God, what a dumb thing to do.
Alcohol gets acrylic paint out. I learned that from Robert Bateman.
Alcohol?
Yeah, he used hand sanitizer. And one of his
that's
paintings he had with us. He was showing us because he got a paint from another painting that he was doing a demo on top of that painting. And he said alcohol, and nobody had alcohol. And somebody said, I got hand sanitizer and alcohol in it. He said, give it to me. And it worked.
Is that off like cloth? I should have taken my tablecloth off.
Yeah, but I try to get it off before it dries.
Right.
Right. But it was I dab as much of it as you can off with water and then
Right.
some
Hand sanitizer.
hand sanitizer or alcohol. You might want to just test a little spot first, but it should
Oh God.
it should be all right. You're having a night like I'm having, but we're all having like these. Kathy Sweet couldn't get in. Kathy Sims is squirting paint everywhere, and I can't get paint to sit on my canvas. We'll do a reboot for next week. I'm gonna put a little bit of the umber, a little wash of the umber across his nose, the whole thing. As well, here now while I'm here. Because even though his nose is black, there is some brown in that nose. And I'm gonna go strengthen up. Now that I have a gray all over this, I'm now gonna go in and start to strengthen up some of these little dark areas. And I'm gonna use my sienna. So I'm gonna use a little bit different than my putty color. I'm gonna take sienna, not that much sienna, but sienna, a little bit of gray, Payne's gray. So it's a darker putty color. And it's going to look really scary when you put it on, but don't panic, don't panic. And I'm using little sideways scruffy brushes here because we're going to start seeing fur bits. I'm following the direction of the fur, and I'm using my brush turned sideways so that I can start creating what looks like fur lengths. And you can use a smaller brush than what I'm using. I just happen to mix it with this one, but I will be switching over in a second. Same thing on the side. I'm looking at the reference picture to see what's happening with the fur. It's going to be darkest up top. And here on this ear, there's quite a bit of this. There's a bit of yellow in this guy's fur too. So I'm just paying attention here. This ear kind of gets lost. They're getting lost down here. Crazy there. So I'm going to add some water to my canvas and try to lift off that too much of that sienna pulled out there. So I'm wetting my brush and pulling it back. Get back some of the lighter color that's there. Yep, that's okay. It looks really, 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 really freaking ugly right now. But that's okay. Don't worry about it. That's the part I always struggle with, is the butt ugly. Butt ugly. section right here under his chin too. There's a little bit of that sienna color, not much, but just a little hint of it, and it may be a little bit of a reflection off the bandana that's on in the photo, but we won't put the bandana in. Same right along here.
So what color you got in there now?
That is the sienna. So this sienna,
Yeah,
the neutral gray,
okay.
and that's it.
Oh,
I think that's it. I think that's all I put in there. This is the well, that's the color there. So it's a darker version of the silly putty color with a bit
Okay.
more sienna in it because we really want to bring out that little bit of pink that's that discoloration that they get. So we'll set that up for now. But of course we will be, painting on top of it, and we will put a wash in after. But it's there now for when we get started. So it's got a real nice base in it. I'm just gonna go over his nose. I did put another little bit of umber on his nose, but I'm gonna go back over it now with black. With a smaller brush, because a little bit of ultramarine, a little bit of Payne's gray. Like that, a nice solid black. Get those nostrils added to. Line down the middle. I'm just using Payne's gray, straight up Payne's gray. Going in. More water on my brush to make the Payne's gray lighter. Blend those two together. That's the beginning of the.
Look, that looks like my friend's dog. Just
Yeah?
thought about it. Yep, I'm gonna look now.
It definitely looks like my friend's dog too. It looks like a bigger version. My friend's dog looks a little more petite than this one. But she was also a street dog that was rescued, so she might be a little more petite for that reason. I'm just going to also add with a very light bit of dark. I'm pulling out some of the black into this area around the bottom of the nose where you've got that little bit of black fur that's peeking through.
There, look. She got her head tilted.
Oh, just lift
the other
it up a
direction.
little bit more. Lift it up a little bit more. Oh yeah, yeah.
I was
Very
thinking, where did I see a dog like that before? And that's where it was, is Nola's dog.
And that's the Maltese.
Yep.
Yeah, neat.
wonder. I just did some like a real light bit of black, and I pulled some out from his nose. For this little area around his nose where there's like the little hint of the black fur that peeks out under the white. I gotta look for my friend's dog. Now I gotta show you a picture of my friend's dog, see if it's the same one. Can't find it fast. I won't keep looking. But he often sends me pictures of her. Okay, 2 more scrolls and then I'm gonna stop. I'll have one ready next week to show you. Rather than it's shocking because you think just a little bit more, it's almost there. I know I'm almost there. Can't put it down. All right, I'll see if I can find one and I'll show you guys next week. I'm also going to take a little bit of dark Payne's gray, sorry. Payne's gray. A little bit more than a wash, not too much more. And I'm going to darken these areas in here. Oh, that's a bit too dark. I'm going to make more of a wash than that. Sorry. No, I'm going to add a little bit more water to that mix I just showed you, because that's a little too dark right here. This, and I'm just going to add in a little bit of the darkness here, because this is going to push back like the eyes a bit, and there's also a little bits of black fur around the eyes, like there is around his nose. I seriously am considering redoing this for next week on a better canvas. Pretty ugly in the beginning. I used to really struggle with it being really ugly in the beginning, but now it's like it's okay.
It's easier the second time round, though. The first time round was really scary.
Yeah, and it's even after I've done so many of them, I don't trust it sometimes too, and I go, oh my god, this is a mess. So you'll always have slip ups that I think back to the panic.
Yeah.
No matter how many you do, there'll always be something. I'm just adding a little wash of the Payne's gray to just different darker spots that I want to really darken a little bit more. Like in here where we had put the silly putty color earlier. I just want to strengthen them a little bit more. So I'm just putting a little washes of the black Payne's gray in there. That looks a bit better to me, actually. Even with the ugliness, it looks a bit. This here is a bit of a. So I'm still just doing a bit of Payne's gray in the little extra. Looking at my reference picture, that's all I'm using to decide where to put it. Just little spots in the picture that the fur is a little bit darker. Just adding it in. Here's another spot. Here's another spot. Ooh, down here's lots of spots. This canvas sounds like a magic marker to me when I rub my brush on it. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but that's exactly, I just hit me what it sounds like. It sounds like a magic marker. Is there anything on the back to say where this is from? No. I don't often paint. My commissions, I don't take commissions on 8x10 canvases anymore. So these are ones I've had left over, and so it's a little, ooh, that's way too dark. So just and I'm really glad that this is left over, because I think this would have drove me mad if I'd done a commission on it. Hmm. Hmm. Or maybe I've just gotten really particular and snobby about the type of canvas I use over the years. Just put me a little for directions from the reference photo. Setting up our foundation for next time. There. Yeah. I'll just hold them up now. So I guess I'll send a picture of them too with the email. There he is in all his ugliness. In the beginning, there was an ugly Clyde.
Bonnie loved him.
Yeah, Bonnie still loved him. Bonnie thought he was perfect. Just perfect. Yeah.
Just to ask you, with my disaster with my paint, what was the colors? It was some white with, like, to fill in what wasn't covered with some paint. What
It was just some white, and I think it was just white and Payne's gray. Sorry, white and neutral gray.
white and neutral gray? Okay.
Yeah. To do all this, like when we put that whole cover over it, yeah.
Yeah.
And a little tiny smidge of ultramarine blue,
Okay.
because there's a lot of blue in the little doll's fur.
Okay. I think the alcohol does help, or the hand sanitizer.
It is
Not completely, but it looks better.
excellent. I stopped recording there now.